Our great country is about to embark on a journey of national self-determination, rediscovering and building our identity as a great trading nation, an outward-looking nation, and a nation that has every reason to be confident in its future. The government has rightly rejected staying in the customs union and in the single market, and that is right, because if we are to realise this aspiration of becoming a self-governing, global-facing democracy, we cannot remain signed up to the single market or customs union. Contrast that with what we've heard from the Shadow Secretary of State today: confusion and an illogical position, stating that membership of the customs union remains on the table. Contrast that with what the Shadow Attorney General said this weekend, saying that we won't necessarily be able to control our immigration policy. But that's what people voted for last year. And if Brexit is to mean anything, it must mean control of our borders and our immigration policy and our trade. Why hasn't the customs union served our purposes? There are four main reasons. Firstly, it hasn't served our country's trade interests. The EU has a laughable track record of securing trade agreements with the more flourishing parts of the world. We've had a growing trade deficit with the EU, growing from £12 billion to £71 billion since 1999, contrasted with a growing trade surplus with the rest of the world, growing from deficit of £4 billion in 1999 to a surplus of £34 billion in 2016. That represents an amazing opportunity for our country to forge trade links with the rest of the world, rather than being reliant on a declining market of the EU. Secondly, we are only going to be able to strike new trade deals as long as we are out of the customs union. The alternative is impossible. And that's because of the common commercial policy, which binds all its members. So when the Labour manifesto says that it wants to work with global trading partners to develop best-in-class free trade and investment agreements that remove trade barriers and promote skilled jobs and high standards, and I'm quoting, that's simply not possible as long as we are members of the customs union. Secondly, EU protectionism harms our British consumers. We are denied products such as cheaper sugar from developing states because protectionist tariffs favour less efficient farmers in Northern Europe. The EU customs union has pushed food and clothes prices up, estimated by about £500 a year for each household. By opening the market, lowering barriers to trade, to entry for new competition, prices will fall and consumers will benefit. That choice and quality will go up, as producers no longer will have a captive market or a monopoly. Thirdly, Mr Deputy Speaker, the EU's trade agreements have focused too much on goods, and when 80% of our GDP is services, we need to realign our trade policy. And lastly, the customs union severely penalises farmers and workers in developing countries when they export into the EU. The tariffs are unequal and discriminatory, and that really is an enemy of fair trade. If we want to support African countries to become more sustainable and industrialised, we can develop more opportunities to support them. So, Mr Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, Brexit is not a crisis to manage, as the other side would have us believe. It is a golden opportunity for us to seize, and I implore on them to get behind this government and support Brexit in all its forms.